So a frequent question that I get from many is what is my favorite cruise line? And the question always puzzles me. Like, why are people asking this question? I feel like it could be for two reasons. One is to maybe gain some insight about me. What do I like when it comes to cruising? And number two, I think people ask that question so they know which cruise line they should go on. Maybe if like, hey, if Tony likes it, then maybe it's a good cruise line. But I don't know whether me liking a cruise line is the best gauge for whether or not you would like a cruise line. We're all different people out there with different desires and likes and those kind of things. And so I tried to figure out a different way to solve the problem. And so I think a good way to solve it would be to tell you which people should not cruise on certain cruise lines. And so I'm going to kick that off today by telling you several people that should not cruise on Carnival. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I am your host, Tony, and today I'm going to be your cruise anthropologist. As somebody who spends a lot of time observing people on cruise ships, I feel like I may be uniquely positioned to tell you about people who should not cruise on Carnival. Now, I'm not going to muck this video up with a lot of extra explanation other than this one at the beginning. Not a lot of extra video, not a lot of B-roll, that kind of thing. I'm just going to throw the list out there and let it lay where it lay. Before we get into it, let me invite you to subscribe. If you like this cruising content, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. It helps you out. It helps me out. But yeah, the list. The number one person that should not cruise on Carnival Cruise Line are people that like tablecloths. That's right. People who like tablecloths will not be satisfied when they cruise on Carnival. Number two, people who do not like kids. Carnival Cruise Line is a family brand, family-friendly brand. It entices a lot of kids on board. And so if you don't like kids, this is not going to be the spot for you. Number three, people who are concerned about what other people are wearing for dinner. If you want your cruise dining experience to be dressed up, Carnival's not the spot for you. Even on formal night, the dress code is pretty loose and very infrequently enforced. And so if you are going to get bummed out because you're all dressed up and somebody else isn't, then you may want to avoid the Carnival cruise experience. Another person that should avoid cruising on Carnival Cruise Line are people who do not like overhead announcements and do not like cruise directors. Carnival Cruise Line puts their cruise directors front and center on every cruise. They are in your face, they are loud, they're making announcements, they're all over the cruise ship trying to hype up the fun. And if you're not someone who is into that, then you may want to avoid Carnival Cruise Line. The next set of people that should avoid Carnival Cruise Line are people that are hung up about what classy is. So many times in the comments of my videos, I will run into people that have an opinion about the classiness of others. Apparently, they are the arbiters of class. They are the expert judges of class, and they know when something is classy and not classy. I say if you're one of those people, just avoid Carnival Cruise Line so your head doesn't explode and where you don't have to jump through all of those mental exercises to judge everybody around you on the cruise ship and determine whether they are classy or not. I'm not saying Carnival's classy or not classy. I'm just saying if you're somebody who is uptight about the class of others, you will be on the struggle bus when it comes to cruising on Carnival. And I guess to be fair, if you're constantly worried about the classiness of others, you're probably on the struggle bus in most of life's situations. But yeah. And the last person that I would recommend not cruising on Carnival are people who struggle with coexisting with people of color. One of the things I find most appealing about Carnival Cruise Line is they are probably the most racially diverse cruise line out there. They have created a product that appeals to people from all segments of society. And to me, I think that that is important. A fair question is, why is racial diversity important when it comes to cruising? Well, certainly, if you look through the history of our country, nothing has divided us more than race. And so I get excited when the industry that I love and a cruise line inside that industry really does a good job of being racially diverse. I think it's important. I think it's easy to gloss over it, but I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that Carnival really does lead the way when it comes to racial diversity on its cruise ships. Another reason why I think race is important in the conversation about Carnival is sometimes when you're looking at the criticisms of Carnival, you will see embedded in the criticism low-key racism. For example, the word ghetto is used quite a bit when it comes to criticizing Carnival in the comments of the videos that I produce. And over the past 6 years, I've certainly heard the argument that ghetto is not a racial term. There are both people of color in ghettos, there are white people in ghettos, there are Jewish people in ghettos. Let's just set the record straight. If you want to be honest, contextually honest, when it comes to the term ghetto, historically it has had a racial connotation. It has meant people of color. It has meant Jewish people, another marginalized racial group. I guess at its best, if you're saying ghetto doesn't mean people of color, you're back to classism. And as I mentioned previously, if you're uptight about the class of others, well, Carnival's probably not for you either. It's a little sad. I feel like I have to defend Carnival Cruise Line in a scenario where people can choose which cruise line they want to go on. And so it doesn't really ever make sense to me that people want to, poo-poo on Carnival just because they don't like it. What does it say about us as people that instead of saying nothing and just choosing another product, we have to say something negative about a product that other people are happy to choose? I'm pretty sure we all have the same goal as cruisers, just to go cruising and have a good time. So hopefully this information will help you make an informed decision. Thanks so much for checking out the show today. Which cruise line would you like to see me do next? Your comments will dictate the next video in this series. Thank you so much for checking out the show. This is your cruise anthropologist, Tony. And until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.